I'm afraid I've got a thing. I don't like nonsense. I don't like sexual abusers and things. I really. I'm not saying I've got, I don't. It's a thing I don't like, and I've had reason personally recently to especially not like it. But so what have I been watching? CSI Special Victims Unit, New York, where those nonsense get beat up every week.
Yeah.
So, and I chain watch them when I'm working. Yeah, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. And I kid myself that I'm trying to think about and consider all the slight differences of, abuse that take place and whatever, because part of what I do, because you got to remember this on a serious note, Wachuku, the enslavement process and colonization process contained every form of abuse that you can possibly ever think about.
Yeah.
And we've gone through it all. Our communities are rammed through with nonsense. And then there's that, I can always remember when I was working with your mom and we're doing the mentoring.
Yeah, the youth retreat project.
Yeah, doing youth retreat. And remember we used to split off the males and females, and they always lost the toss, didn't they, the women? They always had to leave and go downstairs. That was wonderful. But then I remember they came back feeding back one time, and, how many stories of that uncle we don't talk about came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I was having that conversation with someone the other day just about how prevalent it is. Obviously I'm married, baby on the way, all of that, but obviously there was a life before. So in those experiences that I've had and the conversations that I've had with women in my life, I would say it's as much as, let me not be too, but let's say at least 80% of the women that I have, even if I haven't got into any sort of relationship with them, but any sort of friendship, any sort of deep level of them sharing something with me, somewhere in the history, if it's not a family member, it's someone in the hood, there's this undercurrent of especially sexual trauma that exists. And it's so prevalent, it's very frightening. It's very frightening because you don't necessarily, or I don't necessarily have many strings to my bow to reconcile in my mind. Like you said, I'm like you, I hate anything to do with that. Like, I feel like there's an excuse for any crime apart from rape and nonsense. Like, there's a reason why you can kill someone, there's a reason why you can steal, but there's no reason why you can nonsense, and there's no reason why you can rape. So for me to reconcile in my mind how they don't deserve to just be wiped off the planet is hard, because
but the damage has been done. You see, the thing is, you kill someone, you kill somebody. They're gone, right? And then people's left with the trauma of it and whatever. But when rape sentences someone to life, and I can't think of so you see, with me, like I said, my mother told me I was born from a rape when I was 11, and so I had a propensity for hatred of rapists from that age. But then specifically, that was my father as well.
Crazy.
So, so I was on this dynamic of thinking, okay. Another thing was, I was worried personally that is there a rape gene? Even when I was young, is going to be a father like son? And I used to have this. I can always remember, getting hot with a sister, and the sister go, "Oh no, oh no." And so I'd stop, and they go, "What's the matter?" And I said, "You said stop." He said, "No." You said, "No."
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean it. I said, "Well, you better be clear." I said, "Because I ain't a rapist. I don't want that." And it was like, cold water poured on the scenario, But I just got that real, a deep-seated, and I think it's healthy for me, because it means I've always had that kind of stop.
Mm-hmm.
even though it turns out it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, learning that there's no gap between N and O is, some brothers, it's like if your blood's rushing, oh yeah, well I got to do it, innit?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm talking about, the self-control of the Sphinx. The self-control of the beast is highly important.
That's interesting to me because similarly to you, that is something that I would say I've always had. I've been able to, like, no is all you need to say. No is all that, like, you wouldn't need to say no and it go further. Like, my instinct is to be like, all right, cool. If that's what it is, that's what it is. And when I hear, because I've had these conversations with many people over the years, and it is a generally like almost an accepted thing that, you know, there's like a point of no return, let's say. There's this point that a man can no longer control himself, and a man can now, like, and I feel like it's not only us as men that have this belief or have this false knowledge. It's also, I feel like, women as well that have this false knowledge that then end up in that situation where I'm trying to find a way of saying it, because I'm not trying to say that there's any blame attached to them, but there, it's almost like they are now in a situation where they believe that they have kind of written the check now. Like, this, it's done. Like, they've got to this point, and there is no way of them reeling it back.
Mm.
And that, then, you know what I mean? Sorry, go on.
No, it becomes an interesting, and it's important. I mean, we share a family name, which is son of the will.
Mm-hmm.
So being sons of will, it means that our will, basically the will is the left brain, which impregnates the right brain.
Right.
That's what that means. Your will means, you're determining, you putting in, you conceive an idea. The
Mm-hmm.
idea grows, and then you give birth to the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens within that process, the same way you can put an idea in, wow, I want to deal with this sister, I want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same way you should be able to use that will to say, I need to stop this one now.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's a case of like, well, do you want to do it, or do you not want to do it, or do it? You understand me? And there's certain people lose that sense of control. And don't get me wrong, I know sisters, they've gone like, I want you to, and they can be as forceful as any man.
Yeah.
You understand me? So we have that kind of that. But what it is, there has to be a respect that's there. When we enter the arena, there's Marquis of Queensberry or something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you see all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm not being a saint, so therefore I can turn around and tell. I could give you dates, occasions, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never, ever, ever mention. Say, for instance, if me and a sister have had intimate relations,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there talking with them, or well, you will never know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not somebody who's going to be giving out any kind of, oh yeah, I've been there. Well, yeah, especially if I meet them with a new partner or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless they've said something, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But there's a level of respect that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know brothers who love to say, oh yeah, this is my conquest. I've had this thing here, I've done this, I've done that, and whatever. I know that kind of stuff. But then I think there needs to, mind you, I'm old school. I'm old school now. I'm the guy who, if I'm rub dancing with a sister, my back's on the wall,
Yeah.
so she can step off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to know when to introduce the know which way you dress and introduce the blood flow. And if the sister don't like it, she go and step off it. You understand me? We stay to the 2-beat dance if she wants to. You understand me?
Yeah.
But that, because one of the most horrible experiences that I ever had. You remember Berkeley, don't you? Berkeley
Yeah.
Gardner.
Yeah.
I always remember. It was his 40th, I think it was, at Bruce Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope if anybody watching this knows this DJ, right? The guy who was DJ on the night, right? I hate you. I wish nothing but I hope you support Tottenham or Arsenal and that they'll lose forever. Because what this guy did, two sisters walked in. One was slim and there's this. Oh my gosh! So that I call that a humma. She's good body, strong body, and all this.
Yeah.
I started dancing with that sister, and I was like, and I just remember, all the technique was there and whatever. And right in front of the DJ, middle of the floor, downstairs, Bruce Grove in the main room, music playing, and I so got nice lovers rock playing, whatever. And I remember she whispered in my ear, she says, "Oh, I'm becoming aroused," and I was like, "Oh, this." And I just looked and I saw the DJ's eyes, and he put some steppers on and broke the mood. And I said, "You."
You say intentional.
I think he's evil. Whoever that guy is, he was just evil. He saw me. He's a player hate or whatever he's gonna call it, but he
Yeah.
did that. He did that deliberately. But I was on my best behavior. I'd done all my protocols. The sister she was really enjoying that, and she was something else. And then this guy went and did that to me. To us, sorry. So he did that to us. But no, I'm saying that this is part of the protocol. I mean, I was raised with a protocol thanks to a sister who was raised in Bible called Liza Colette. She taught us all how to rub dance, and she taught us the protocols. So and it goes into deeper stuff as well. I can take rub dancing into ancient religious beliefs on Adam and Eve and all kinds of stuff. But then what happened? I was shocked when a sister, and this is a mature sister, said that a mature dread pin her up on the wall in some blues and everything, and then when she went at the end of the thing went away and the front of her dress was wet. And I was going like, what? No, and I wouldn't have it. And she said, "Paul, seriously, it happened." And I was going, "Nah, sir." But this is the kind of thing how we lose the culture, we lose the values, we lose the sense of manhood and womanhood, the sense of dignity, respect, and things like that. We lose it. And there has to be a form of restraint. There has to be something that's there. That's what, watch this, the word sphinx. It relates to the muscle in our eyes and the anus called the sphincter muscle that constricts or restricts.
Yeah.
And so I got one of my favorite tracks by Ronnie Jordan. It was called "Get to Grips." And you get to grips with the thing, like the lion's paw gets to grips. You got to restrain yourself sometimes, and you got to focus and contain those certain behaviors to do the right thing. That's all I'm putting forward.
Okay, let me just to touch on something that you said, where you said you got a lesson on how to rub dance, for example.
Yeah.
Don't you think
that's one I ever taught?
Yeah, I hear you. But don't you think that that's something that is almost is missing, or could be one of the arms to kind of almost fixing some of these problems that exist of, like I said, people believing that there is this point of no return, or there is this. I mean, I feel like that's an important lesson that I feel like young people should have. Even though luckily for me, I never needed it in that regard. But I feel like that's the reason why people get to that point where they're like, I can't control myself, because they're almost allowed to grow feral.
Well, you see, I know that if we look at cultural modalities, right, the ways of being. I know in Igbo traditional custom, there was a thing called midnight games, where girls and boys from the village were placed in an entirely darkened environment, and they were allowed to touch each other and fondle each other, no penetration.
Right.
But this is how traditionally the boys would learn about boys and girls would learn about girls, about the anatomy and whatever. Yeah. Now, if you were to put anything like that forward, it'd be like, oh my God, no, you understand me? But then my own son, who's going to soon be 12,
Mm-hmm.
he's played me some of these the songs that he's listening to online,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going like, what they're doing? What there was one the other day of what was it? Some guy said bangis something, but just basically about masturbation, and there's a beat with it, and he's just talking about that, and then put a sock. He says something about rock my cock or something like that, and then put it in my sock, and I'm
Man.
like, geez. So you know, I was like, wow. So he's learned because I'm not with him all the time.
Yeah.
But he's learned about sex, sexual. I gave him the birds and bees talk a year and a half ago, and he humored me. You
Yeah.
know, when you get the vibe, you're being humored. He humored me to make me sound like, yeah, I was a father telling him what's going on, and I was like, yeah, okay, and I got that very quickly, right?
Yeah.
And then and so young people now, they're getting things unsupervised online.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing all this kind of stuff, and then I always remember down in Brixton there was a family friend, the sister we used to stay with. She worked hard for a living. She had I think there's a 7-year-old son who'd been excluded from school. This
Mm-hmm.
is back in the days where it was the German porn channels were on, all unsupervised, whatever.
Mm.
And so she was leaving him back in the home
Mm.
to go out to work. So he's unsupervised in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and he's watching porn all the time. Then he ended up sexing his 3-year-old sister. So you know what do you do? What do you do about that? You know, basically that's the unsupervised, non-guided child who's finding out how to do something and then trialing it out in the spirit of discovery that many of these children would do.
Yeah.
So monkey see, monkey do. You know, you're gonna
I hear you.
copy and follow what you're gonna do. So, like I say, I think we are in a society where there are all kinds of negatives. You know, if you could say perversions, or you don't. When does something come perverse? You know, where's the line that you draw, and you say, well, I've overstepped the boundary now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's like do as you want, free to do what you want, and you're oppressing people if you say they can't do so and so. So this is where we're heading to, because they got pedophile rights groups now.
Yeah, I've seen things where they're trying to say it's a sexual orientation, um whatever, some foolishness, whatever foolishness they're trying to put forward. It's not.
Well, yeah, but you see, these days, if you say it's foolish, you're being you're denying their humanity
Then I'm
or
denying
whatever.
it.
So what I would say, you know, is when we start to look at what's motivating, what drives these people to do these kind of acts and actions, and geez, I've because of working in schools and working in the kinds of school, and what we need to do is get away from this thing as well about it being so-called like working class people or whatever who are susceptible, you know, to do these things, because what you find is it's right across the board.
Correct.
It can happen anywhere, any class, anything. That's the only reason I watch Special Victims Unit, because
Mm-hmm.
it shows all different levels, all different people in society and whatever. So you know, you're looking at it. Like I was talking to a very often. I'm not talked to this friend of mine for 30 years. I've just been talking to him and his wife and daughter, and the daughter had she was doing sociology today, I think it is, and she said what I tried to get to her was, when you go in, if you say good God is portrayed by a white man,
Mm-hmm.
it means that evil devil is a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're in a culture and society where anything that is black or anything that is female
Yeah.
is deemed negative.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Yeah.
it's deemed negative, you can do what you want to it.
That kind of goes back to kind of what you were talking before. You were talking about dehumanization.
Yeah.
That I don't know whether I learned it from you or probably, but that idea of like how the propaganda works and how government can get to do what they want with either a people or a person by dehumanizing them, and now you're allowed to, as you said, do what you want. And I feel like that's a lot to do with what happens with all of these videos now of police killing black men and black women and all of these things, and assault and all of these things. It's kind of just creating this mindset of it's okay. They must have done something because it's a policeman doing it, or they must have done. They were resisting arrest, so they deserve to get X, Y, and Z. So I feel like there's a lot of this kind of dehumanizing of people to push forward this narrative of
The
yeah.
film that had it in is Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a point where Buffalo Bill, the killer, has got I think it's the governor's daughter in a pit.
Yeah.
And so the governor's there heading an appeal to get the daughter back. And what happens is you have Clea Starling and her Oppo, the other FBI, another FBI agent, and they're having a dialogue. And they say, this is very clever, because as the governors do the appeal, she's talking, asking for her daughter back. They're showing pictures of her from being a baby, a toddler, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. They're showing her grow up, basically. And the two FBI officers, they're saying, this is great, this is good, because they're trying to make her more human, so it'd be less likely to rip her up. Because if you can't see the humanity in somebody,
Yeah.
you're going to do what you want, do as thou wilt with them, and whatever. So it cuts to Buffalo Bill saying to this girl, it will cream its skin and it will put the cream in the basket. And she's going, oh no, mister, please don't do it. He said, it will cream its skin and it will put its cream in the basket. Oh, but mister, put the cream in the basket. And he's not, all he's seeing is the piece of flesh from her body that he wants. So once you start talking about people as though they're objects, so this is saying, they say the left brain deals with objectivity. The right brain deals with subjectivity. And that's your empathy, your connectivity. So what if you're looking at someone getting killed or turned out or whatever, and you're just going like, this is where we're going to the realm of what's called pornography, because pornography can be sex or violence. So you see, this is one of the things that people aren't getting. That we're being nurtured by what we're watching in the media to think a certain way. So when pornography, it's not the way that the sex happens. It's not as though people's looking about, oh, it's a wonderful relationship. It's a wonderful look at the way they caress and the way they do it. It's just hardcore, bang bang bang. Same way you watch a film, bang 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 bang. That's it. You just see the violence hammered out and whatever.
Interesting. All right.
Well, I remember reading a Sunday Times article about Travis Bickle, who's a character played by Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver.
Right.
And it said that I remember the article saying that Travis Bickle takes revenge on the society that let him down, using the tools of pornographic violence, the gun and the knife.
Right.
So as you know, if you look at Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book, The ISIS Papers,
Yeah.
she talks about the gun. So you got the gun and the clip, and you put the clip in to the gun. Well, that's the testes, and that's the penis. So if you say when a man's going to ejaculate, they say he's going to shoot his load. Load, he's going to shoot his load. If a guy can't have babies, they say he's firing blanks.
Yeah.
You put a knife, you put in a sheath. A prolactic sheath is a condom. Guys talk about getting their weapons. They also talk the two ways with a knife. You can either wet somebody or bore them. And what kills more is boring. So what we've got on the streets at the present time in London is a whole heap of boys running around, pulling out their weapon and boring another guy.
Yeah. Real talk.
So you see, we're going into a homoerotic area. I always remember. I remember brought that down in Rochester prison one time, and I said this thing, and I know people will say it's homophobic to say it and whatever, but no, this is put forward as a deflection to these guys to try and get them to think differently about the actions they're readily doing.
Yeah.
So I said, you do realize that stabbing and shooting can be seen as gay. And they went, what? I said, stabbing and shooting can be seen as gay. Why? I said, because one man, is penetrating another guy either with bullets or with a blade. So what do you call it? If a guy's penetrating another guy, what would you actually call that? So I'm not saying it's gay, because I know, don't get me wrong, I know that in the gay community is more than whatever. But what we're saying is that these guys who will turn around and call someone a batty man for having sex with a batty, but then they will not call a man having sex with a woman's batty a batty man.
Yeah.
Or do they mean a man batty man?
That's exactly what they mean.
So you see, the twisted hypocrisy and everything else that's actually put there to victimize gay people, right? They ain't going to turn around and say, oh, well, oh, no, that guy's not gay because, no, well, he was just doing her in the back. So I'm going like, wow, where are we going as a society and a culture? And so this goes to me that unless we get into these discussions and have these discussions and and then start to say, well, you know something, maybe we are going to have to control ourselves, because the only discipline that works is self-discipline.
We'll talk.
So, you can tell me all you want. Look at this thing about the coronavirus, and they're saying that, oh yes, blah, blah, what's just coming on the news now, that rich areas are not being put on lockdown. Why is that? Is that rich people are better behaved than poor people? So, what's actually happening there is I decide, I'm afraid I went into a supermarket the other day, and I happened to be talking to somebody on the phone, and I didn't realize that what I did I didn't realize that I didn't have my mask on. And I walked in, and I was walking through going, and people's like, I see people looking at me, and I'm just on the phone, chat. Then when I was at the checkout, oh damn, I don't have my mask on. Now, I might think that the masks are totally stupid. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff online of it doesn't stop anything or whatever. I might have an opinion, but that's a social order. So when I'm going to do that thing, I'll obey that thing. Social distancing of 2 meters for me is a bit stupid, because I'm never within 2 meters of anybody, really. I prefer to keep a distance, right? But just let me show you this. Is that I was on a plane. I was over in Amsterdam the other week. So I'm sat I'm on an aisle seat. So I'm sat right next to a guy there, next to another person there, within 2 meters to my right. There's the aisle, and then another person within 2 meters to my left. Guy in front of me, guy behind, within 2 meters. We must keep your mask over your mouth and nose through the entire thing, unless you're eating or drinking.
Yeah.
then it's all right.
Yeah.
So then what goes on? We're then told that we cannot stand up to get off the plane until the row in front has got up and got their bags, so that you must maintain social distancing down the plane. I said, wait a minute. I've been sat within social. Who is making these rules up?
Yeah.
So I've got more chance of not being within 2 meters standing up than I have when I'm sat down in the thing. Then, of course, you get off the plane in Amsterdam and the distance is 1.5 meters. Because you see, coronavirus, you see, knows nationality.
Yeah.
It obeys the rules. Coronavirus obeys the rules set in each country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it knows to shut down at 10 o'clock early because, you know, pub closed, so coronavirus takes a break then at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I was watching the John Bishop thing that he did online about how to test about your nose, you're losing your sense of taste or your smell. So he's just got a bottle of wine going, no, don't have it yet. So no, yeah, I think we're in quite a crazy society at the present time. That's all.
I agree. And just to kind of, I don't know, maybe wrap up the corona bit, I would say the question I would ask you is, do you think this is the new normal? Or do you think that it is
Definitely not, because I hope that people are gonna have some bloody sense and start finding statistics out. There are 600,000 deaths in Britain every year recorded from all different means. 600,000.
Yeah.
And so I think it was 3 years ago, there was round about, I think it was 38,000 deaths by flu, but no one knew because no one focused on it. And so all of this stuff, whatever, there's a load of theories, conspiracy theories, and scientific facts, and all kinds of stuff. Like me, I just watch this, I put it on the table. I know where my heart lies. I know what my hopes for the family are, my family are, etc. So that's the that's the bottom line for me. I heard some very sensible reasoning about COVID-19. I keep wondering why you've got two things, COVID-19 and coronavirus. Why you got the two things? So you got HIV and AIDS. So why do we have the two demarking names? What's going on there? So I like to ask simple questions. I like to get simple answers, and you know, things that can be understood. And I'm afraid I think that I think that we're being had over. I honestly think we're being had.
And what are the ends? What's the
Exactly what
win?
you got: fear, control, manipulation, etc. I remember I was a member of a WhatsApp group when all this thing with the coronavirus started. It was all like, yes, well, my friend's best friend's cousin's girlfriend is a nurse in the so and so and so, and they put out that. So if you look at some of the bullshit that was put out,
None of that ain't
it was
happening.
just like, you know, people passing on this thing after that and that. I heard this. So what did they say? Oh, police on the streets, the lockdown, the army's going to be doing roadblocks, and we saw tanks being carried here and tanks being carried there, and blah 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 blah, and it was all this. So I had to go and pick up my sister from Heathrow. She was trapped down in New Zealand with her husband, and so we were there. You know, she sent me, you know, copies of their passports, the flight, the itinerary, and all of this. And I was going to set off and go and pick them up. And I was there with 2 nights packed in my bag, 2 days clothing in case I got stopped and whatever, and stranded. And I got my passport, my driver's license, and I've got all this information or whatever. And I set off at 2 o'clock in the morning to drive down to Heathrow Airport. I'm there in plenty of time to meet them. So then if anybody's they stop me, I'll be able to give my evidence of who I'm going to pick up, everything like that. And I was like, yeah. I got down there 7:30 at the Heathrow Airport. I drove back. the first police car I saw was coming back up the hill at 11 a.m. in Preston. I saw not police army all the way down from Preston down to going from Preston going to Heathrow, and that's the first time I actually saw a police car. So the whole thing of spreading fear and manipulating people.
What do they gain? Just lack of movement of people, more spending,
Control. Control. People say talk
something
about
in the future.
Yeah, someone's talking about crashing economies. Someone's talking about, giving the injections that have the little robots in, and people, say it's this, it's that, whatever. Well, I've got to say I don't know. I'll listen out for information to find out, what is going on. But yeah, just what can I say? It just seems to be very, very weird.
It does.
Never known anything like it. I mean, I've gone through polio things. We had to have polio, sugar lumps, and all of this, but polio and diphtheria. God knows how many measles and chicken pox outbreaks and whatever. But it was always just a part. We used to have measles parties, German measles parties, so that all the children caught the German measles together, and then you build up your resistance to it, and that's it.
So what? Yeah, because that's the other thing I was thinking about. It is just that this idea of even if the masks, let's say for example, they did work, that's just battering our whole immune system to make us more susceptible to getting sick in the future anyway.
Well, so social distancing does that.
Yeah.
We're not actually building. We're not building a sense of resistance because our immune system's not actually getting the practice.
Do you know that if you've already, let's say I've built up my immune system already, let's say for example, and then this period of, I don't know, social distancing, wearing a mask, blah 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 blah, with that, can your immune system be eroded?
I don't. The only thing that seems to erode it was AIDS.
Okay.
Acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the HIV, they say HIV would kill you, but the AIDS took away your resistance.
Right.
So it's what can you say with it? The best thing we can do is look after our health. Could you imagine this though? Could you imagine that every time someone had a heart attack, it was being counted on the TV?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly what they did with coronavirus cases.
Yeah.
That they were doing heart disease, which has got a higher death rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you think about the amount of stress and fear that's been pumped out over the last 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. What made you come to London from Manchester? Whether you lived here or not, whether it's just, I'm sure when I came to your house, you was living in London at one point. So
no, I was. What happened was my soon-to-be ex-wife got a job at the Ministry of Agriculture on the Civil Service fast stream. So I kind of said, even though I built up a kind of, if you will, connections, contacts, and whatever in Manchester, I just said I can work anywhere. So we relocated to London. So for the first 3 months, the first day down was September 13th, 1999. Mm-hmm. I stayed in my friend's flat in Acton, and another friend down in Sydenham. Okay. And then I stayed at her brother's house in Stockwell. And so that's when I came down. So it was to relocate to support Nene in her a new job. And I started off with doing supply work, and then I started my consultancies.
Okay. So, but before that, you'd obviously created some sort of connection to London, because I'm trying to think. I'm sure when I met you, maybe it might have been just after that. Actually, you might have been down there then. But you obviously had some sort of relationship with my mum for one. You mentioned Berkeley Gardener earlier. So when did those kind of connections happen? Was it that they
I,
came
I
there?
I was at college with Berkeley
Okay.
in Cheshire, at
Yeah.
All Sager College. He was on the youth and community work course. I was doing teacher training, but
Okay.
because of my attitude, I got kicked out of my society deviance and disorder course, and they put me with the youth workers. I was slung down with the youth workers, one of the best, especially detached youth workers, which is what Berkeley was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of the best things that could happen to me because it informed my practice
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher. So it made me convinced that as a teacher, I must be linked to a youth center, and 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 so basically the strategy was in mixed with the martial arts, mixed with all the mentality that I had anyway. I became what I jokingly go. Do you remember the film called New Jack City?
Of course.
Yeah, so I later coined the term New Jack teacher. I became a New Jack teacher to take on the New Jack kids,
Okay.
because you had the New Jack cop to take down the New Jack hustler. So
Yes.
we were New Jack teachers to taking on the New Jack kids.
Okay.
So and then because I was traveling up and down, I kind of national, and by the time I came to London in '99, I had national and international connections as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I've never been one for putting myself forward. It's just that I knew a lot of people. You understand me? And so that practitioners, not in the showboating ones or whatever, just the ones who were getting the job done. And when I look back now, people say to me, well, in fact, I just got cursed out by a sister today in the States who used to be in Manchester. And she was saying to me, what's your online presence? And I said, I don't really have one. And she's like, why? And in truth, it's the divorce, the separation, not my confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't watch it. I didn't have the confidence to come forward. Watch this. Someone asked me, like you asked me to do something, I do it and I deliver. I'll
Mm-hmm.
blast it up. I'll be okay, right?
Yeah.
But if it's me doing something, I got as soon as just shrink back and watch TV or something like that. But I am getting going now. I'll soon be divorced. That will be part of my life that's past, and I'll get my mojo back, as it were.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Um. All right. So I'm gonna do at the end. I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna ask some kind of half quick fire questions. But I did want to ask you, how did you meet my mom?
Through, as I remember it, what's the sister called? There's a group of sisters who are always working together in London,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it was through the conferences, I think some of them attended conferences,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think I was doing sessions in London, and I
Yeah.
met your mom through that, and then she knew Berkeley as well.
Yeah.
So it was like that's how we kind of met, and then there was, of course, she was doing the youth retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember first meeting your mum at an event I think it was North London,
Mm-hmm.
and then she came. She asked me. That was like, oh, do mentoring, do this, do that, blah blah blah. Yeah, and that's how I ended up doing the
Yeah.
youth retreat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also as well, probably this is probably something to ask actually, probably not necessarily now, but while I've got you, I might as well. That time when obviously I got myself in that little bit of trouble, and luckily there was no further action taken, but my mum decided to bring you with her to visit me in the visiting hall of the Young Offenders Institution.
Yeah.
What, because I deliberately didn't want her to know, right? So I didn't tell her. She found out from another source and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always wondered, and obviously she's not here now, so I can't necessarily ask her. But I've always wondered, on like when she left, what was the conversation?
She was just upset.
Yeah.
It was like the anything that a mother would be saying.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my response is I always say to mothers and sisters who are upset by that thing, I always say, better clapped up inside than dead.
You too.
And yeah, because I've seen both happen, and so you hope that if you see, the idea is about rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when I worked with Ian Wright, football behind bars, and he said that when he did his little piece of stint inside, that was
Mm-hmm.
enough for him. He wasn't going back.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are incorrigible. They like to come back, unrehabilitated, and they say, "Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm back out. I'm on the road. I'm doing some that and whatever."
Mm-hmm.
So, like with any mother, with any father, you look for your children. If you've got that thing about you, you
Yeah.
want the best well-being for your child.
Mm-hmm.
So if your child's been clapped up, you're going to be upset. But then you have to understand there's another level behind that.
Yeah.
So that was, as I can remember it, it was just like a typical kind of conversation with that, and she was just hoping you'd grow, know, and flow, as it were. You grow from the experience. You grow out of whatever you were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Know why you've done it. Know what had gone on, and then flow, get it back into your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like that. It's like I said, it was atypical. I mean, she's embarrassed, as you're always going to get, because of the consciousness thing. Your child does this, your child did that, and you go, wow. So she's embarrassed by it. But then that's it, saying, what can you say? If your
Mm-hmm.
child's breathing these days, they're going to be nurtured, caught up by whatever. They're going to be proving this, proving that, doing what they want, and whatever. That's it.
Yeah. All right. What is love?
A unifying, generative element in the universe that holds everything together. This is natural. It's God. It's natural. It's the functional part of God.
Deep. Okay. What is forgiveness?
Giving back to the people what they've put on you. So
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness to me is not forgetfulness. That's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness means I'm no longer going to carry around the feelings, the anger, the animosity, the upset that you've given me. So I give it back. I forgive it back to you.
All right. And I'm just trying to keep it on the time. Also, as well, three three book recommendations for me personally. So with the knowledge that you've got of who I am and what I require, let's say, or what I would enjoy, maybe, what three books would you recommend?
Think and Grow Rich, Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, the last one. I'm trying to think. I'm just visualizing a book that I got at home. I just started reading. Oh, Kabbalion.
Okay.
The Kabbalion, yeah.
Okay. I'll have a look. I'll have a look.
And disappointingly, you'll probably find that's all three white writers as well: Napoleon Hill, Joseph Campbell, Joseph Murphy, and the Three Initiates.
Okay. And I've only heard of one of the three, so um yeah, I'll have a look at the other two. Uh, Let me just give you the big thank you. I'm so appreciative. I'm so thankful. I got more than I wanted. I'm going to enjoy editing. Also, as well, just before you do go, I just want everybody to be aware that you do have a timeline. It's a teaching tool. It's something for your house. It chronicles how many years? Is it 25? How many?
9,000.
9,000 9,000 years of African history. And why I'm a real advocate of it is just because once you unroll this scroll-looking piece of apparatus, it you see how small slavery as a period of time is when it comes to African history and the history of people of the African diaspora, people of African heritage, or whatever my viewers will understand it to mean. So I'll definitely put the contacts to either yourself or a website or something like that in the description of the video when it's up. I'm sure at some point soon you're going to be back up onto this, onto the socials, whether it's a Facebook, whether it's an Instagram, whether it's a Twitter, whatever it is. Definitely send that over, and I'll put that on in the description. But once again, this has been a great blessing for me. I'm super grateful, and as I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate you taking the time out. And I hope to see you soon as well.
Okay then, man. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you again. Appreciate you. Love.
Okay. See you.
Thanks for providing too much information. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Take care.